good evening. I'm Jessie Brand, Director of Programs and Operations for the Global Wellness Institute and Summit. Welcome to the Wellness Real Estate Lightning Round Global Update. Please introduce yourself in the chat if you haven't, and let us know where you're joining us from. Before we get started, here are some quick logistics. You can select either speaker view or gallery view, depending on your preference. Please keep yourself muted when you are not speaking. I will mute everyone shortly to minimize background noise. And if you have a question or comment, please use the raise hand feature located in the participants section. We encourage everyone to turn on their cameras if you can, as it helps facilitate a more engaging discussion. This call is being recorded. We will share the recording along with the chat log and key takeaways in a follow-up email today. And one sec. It is now my pleasure to introduce Nancy Davis, our Chief Creative Officer and Executive Director. Nancy, you will moderate today's program. Good morning to you.
Thank you, Jessie. And okay, I am unmuted, which is great. Hello, everyone. We're trying something new today, so thanks for being part of this experiment. We're calling it a lightning round. And this is where some of our colleagues will offer very short updates, 1 minute each, on what's happening in their world of wellness real estate. The idea is to include as many global projects as possible. The masterclass is one in a series of events we're hosting on this topic as the wellness real estate sector continues to boom. We want to do our part to keep up the momentum. So next month, on Wednesday, September 25th at 11 a.m. Eastern, we're holding a wellness economy research webinar on the topic of wellness real estate and the updated Build Well to Live Well report that the Global Wellness Institute research team is working on now. That was the groundbreaking report we released in 2018, and we all know it was time to update it. The full updated report will be released in May of 2025 at our annual Wellness Real Estate Symposium, which we hold each year at JP Morgan Chase headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. They're a very valued partner of ours. In addition, the conversation about wellness real estate is always part of our robust agenda at the Global Wellness Summit. So look for that later this year in St. Andrews, Scotland, November 4th through 7th. Okay, on to the lightning round. I will call on certain people to present for a minute. I'll be keeping time, you know me. Those presenting may share their screen with a stat or a photo. Please put comments in the chat as we're not likely to have time for questions. Feel free to also put your own website links into the chat, your business, your project, as we share that with everyone in the follow-up email, so that will have wide distribution beyond this call. First up, Ophelia Young and Catherine Johnston, Senior Research Fellows at the Global Wellness Institute, to put this sector into context of the global wellness economy and maybe share an update on that Build Well report. If you're watching the clock, I gave them 5 minutes. Ophelia and Catherine?
Thanks, Nancy. You had me worried for a minute about the 1 minute. So we probably won't use our 5, but just to remind everyone who maybe has not been with us for a long time, maybe you're new to this event and to GWI and GWS. We as the research team from GWI have been working on the topic of wellness real estate and wellness in the built environment since around 2017, 2018. And that's when we released this report, which you may know about, the Build Well to Live Well report, which has kind of become our Bible, so to speak, of all things related to this topic. So if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to take a look. This has really been, we would both say, probably the most important topic that we have worked on as a research team under the umbrella of wellness. The reason for that is because of, the sort of the statistic you probably know that 80 to 90% of our health outcomes and our health span and our lifespan are influenced by external factors, not our individual genes, but factors like the built environment and the socioeconomic environments that we live in. So this topic shapes everything in wellness. It touches on every wellness sector that we deal with, whether it's mental wellness, physical activity, healthy eating. All of those things are shaped by the built environment and by real estate. So, that's why we're so passionate about this topic. So just a quick update on what we're working on in terms of research on this area. Nancy already covered a couple of the things I was going to say, but as you know, we do data on all of the wellness economy, and we release each year our wellness economy monitor with that famous bubble chart. One of the bubbles in there is wellness real estate, and that's where we give you the data on the sector size. We actually released in May this little mini report that is essentially a pre-release of data that's going to be coming out in November as a part of the wellness economy monitor. But if you want to see the latest sector numbers, they're here. We also have some additional analysis and sort of, thought-provoking things that we put in there that, go beyond the numbers. Our webinar next month that Nancy already mentioned is going to focus mostly on that data and also the current research we're doing to update that Build Well to Live Well report, which will come out next May. We're in the midst of the massive undertaking that is. And one of the big pieces that we're going to be adding to that report is really trying to do some very good case studies that are going to capture different models and really unique approaches to wellness real estate that are happening all around the world. It's very important, this is an international group and we want to make sure that the focus is international. So we've been working very hard on gathering, visiting places to do the research out in the field and to gather, the information for these case studies. We toured a lot of projects in New York City back in the winter and in April. We visited a project in the DC area. We did a tour of a bunch of places in Southern California in the spring. We're currently working on trips to the UK in November and fingers crossed, hopefully to Japan and Singapore in January. So, those are some of the things you're going to be seeing in the new report next spring is, our findings from all of those trips and the insights we get from seeing on the ground, the different ways that wellness real estate is being developed in different cultural contexts and to address the needs of the people and the communities in those areas. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I would just, ask if anyone here, has suggestions of really sort of holistic and interesting projects in different countries around the world that might not be on our radar screen yet, please send them our way. We'd love to get emails to hear about them. And if you have any, ways of connecting us to places we can visit in the future as part of our field research, we welcome that as well. So thank you.
Catherine, thank you so much. I was going to say that too. If you have projects where you feel a site visit it would be very valuable somewhere in the world, do reach out to us and we will make sure that the research team gets that information. And we look for people to host them. And that's what we do. And they will most certainly be in Asia in January, which is very, very exciting. Okay, thanks everyone. Next up is Amy McDonald, founder and CEO of Under a Tree Consulting and someone who knows firsthand just how booming this sector is. Amy's coming to us from a client meeting, I think in Canada, where she's stepping out for her minute with us. Amy?
Thank you so much, Nancy. So I just want to quickly, with my 1 minute, talk about the ROI of wellness. I'm actually just going to talk a little bit about an actual client, but I want everyone to think about wellness and not spa when we're thinking about real estate. Wellness spaces and programming offer differentiation while providing an increased NOI and a potential for a faster ROI. So this is just a comparison of two different properties where they just had traditional spa and they also added wellness. So this is the kind of lift that getting real wellness integrated into the entire real estate development makes a difference. And then for a grand finale, and this is my favorite slide, this is a US mixed-use residential and wellness resort with a hot spring. And I just wanted to show you the three areas that are driving so much of the NOI, and the story of this property and the story of this wellness community is the retail, the thermal circuit, and the recovery. So we have the square footage and the investment, the revenue that it made, the NOI, which looks like it's around year 3, and then the actual payback. So the other piece is it had a $10 million lift in the residential sales. And then also from the hotel standpoint, having wellness lifted it by over almost 3.5 million annually. So wellness drives real estate and communities.
Thank you, Amy. Well done. You can stop sharing your screen. That'd be great.
I'll stop.
Thank you very much. And now do you have to go back into your client meeting?
Yeah, I'm doing the same presentation.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
making the time.
everyone.
Okay, I have a question that will show my ignorance. What's NOI?
Net operating income.
Thank you. All right. Good luck in your meeting, and thank you so much for joining us. We're going to travel now to Saudi Arabia because we are nothing if not global, and check in with Lindsay Madden-Nadeau, who leads the Red Sea Global in Amala. Lindsay, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Great. So I'm just going to use my minute today to talk to you. We are a large developer from Saudi Arabia. Red Sea Global is our parent company. We have two major giga projects happening right now in the kingdom. One of them is the Red Sea, which you'll be able to read by the statistics there. Is a rather large development. It does incorporate wellness into it through our residential and through our hotel assets. But you'll also see Amala, which is actually pegged as the health and wellness destination in the kingdom. It spreads out, it's up here in the corner here, over 4,200 square kilometers of land, over 4 individual master plans. And our phase 1, which will be opening over 2025-26, will be the introduction of 12 dedicated wellness operations and 433 residents. The 4 master plans altogether range about 29 hotels and almost 4,000 keys with almost 1,200 residential. So far, we have issued 600 contracts for Amala, worth almost $6 billion worth of contracts. We're due to open in the next probably 18 months. We'll be hosting brands like Clinical Prairie. They'll be building their third, dedicated wellness resort, as well as brands like Equinox Hotel will be putting here, Jayasam, and we've got some other fully dedicated wellness resorts that we'll be announcing later this year and early next year. I think that's probably a minute.
Now, Lindsay, thank you so much. That's absolutely extraordinary. You know, we've heard so much about this project, but seeing that and hearing some numbers is also extremely enlightening. And I would say that is some place that our research team needs to put on their travels for sure. I also understand it's 45 degrees centigrade there. Is that correct? It's a little hot.
It is, but it's a dry heat. So it's all very bearable right now. Yeah, it's maybe not, it's not my first place that I want to be in the summer, but it's not too bad either.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Now, speaking of hot and kind of cool, let's welcome Robert Hammond, president of Thermogroup US. Robbie?
Hi, hello from San Antonio. I'm at a hotel with I highly recommend the JW Marriott with a great water park. But Thermo, we're trying to bring basically what I think of as the Roman baths to the US market, about 500,000 square feet facilities. And we have some good news. I think we're going to have some good news on a Texas site by the end of the year. And then the city of Washington, D.C. just issued a REFI for a large wellness facility, which is really exciting for us. And I think cities that see the future of keeping tourists and their own dollars in their own cities is wellness. So I'll give up the rest of my 10 seconds.
Robbie, just to talk for a minute about why you build in the city. I mean, we're looking at all these projects. They're on these massive parcels of land outside of cities. Why the city?
Yeah, I mean, we think that's where really, I mean, we think of ourselves as well-being or social infrastructure, and that's really what cities need is, and cities need us because they need to revitalize. So it's a mutually, and so we can have our facilities where people can get there from mass transit. And, you know, take these cities in Dallas, you can pick one neighborhood, but you know, the suburbs are all around. By being in the city, you're able to access the whole city. And honestly, we're also going into cities that are underinvested in.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's something that really interests cities and us being there. And it's where it's the cities where real estate agents say, oh, we're not going to take you to this neighborhood.
And just, you know, for a moment, not to embarrass you, but Robbie is responsible for the High Line in New York. I'm not going to say how and exactly what, but he's the guy. So do you see that as something that inspired some of this that's going on, what you did with abandoned railroad tracks in Manhattan?
I don't know if I think we just help make the crazy credible, which is what I like. These projects are so hard, you know, like you need so much work. But I think there's a real interest in cities in bringing, you know, what they're lacking. Someone told me is they're lacking green and blue spaces, and what these kind of highline projects bring is green spaces, but you know, there's nowhere to swim. I mean, a lot of people can have their own pool or country club, but there are very few public pool. There's very little access to water without flying somewhere.
Okay. Well, I think Making the Credible Crazy might be the title of your autobiography. Just going to throw that out there. And like, if you're like us and can't get enough of Robert Hammond, he'll be in Scotland with us, leading a couple of very, very interesting keynote conversations in this area.
One more, I know I'm not, one of the things that's fascinating is there are now 5 bathhouses within 5 blocks in Manhattan within the Flatiron, and they're all different product. I mean, just for, this is not my, but just, I think that's just such an interesting real estate fact.
Yeah, it certainly is. And in, you know, Flatiron district of Manhattan, that's an amazing feat in terms of space too. So thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go back to Canada, where we last left Amy. And now we'll hear from Robert McCrae, president of 360 Pacifica. Robert?
Sure. And I'm actually with a Canadian company, but located in Orlando, Florida. And I'm talking about Croatia. So really checking the boxes of the global part of the wellness. So this is a project that some people might be already familiar with. When Amy McDonald made a presentation in New York to the larger group, she touched on the economics of our project, Marina Resort Savtat. It is a large-scale 5-star luxury resort that is very wellness forward in what we do. I won't hit on the things that she covered, primarily like 30,000 square foot wellness dedicated space, 50,000 square feet to fitness, athletic, mindfulness. Instead, wanted to touch on the effort we're really making to make this a sustainable and environmental stewardship efforts that we're doing, because that's part of obviously the larger picture in global wellness and delivering to people a place that they want to stay has as little impact as possible. So on a large scale project like this, what we're most proud of is how little impact we're actually able to make. And that is through water conservation, through protecting the marinas with new technologies that are going to be first implemented on the Adriatic Sea to protect some of Neptune grass. It's 100% clean energy fueled, the project. We have zero waste project goals for it as well. Committed to dark sky presentation, farm to table organic foods, really drawing from the local economy and trying to give back to that local economy through the farms, through restaurateurs as part of our villages and our restaurants and all that. So that's my 10 seconds. We as a company are a full cycle real estate group. We work from the conceptualization and master planning of resorts like this through to financing, development, sales, and marketing. So yeah, this is our next thing as we wrap up our project in Vancouver, BC, or sorry, just outside of Victoria, BC, One Bear Mountain, which is also very heavily wellness driven that I think a number of you have heard us talk about in the past. I'll just jump. That's the One Bear. So that's it.
Robert,
that's my minute.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Beautiful. And if you would stop sharing.
I gotta find the button, and there we go.
Even though that picture of the turtle was awfully nice to look at, for absolutely beautiful. Well, thank you so much for doing that. 360 Pacifica is also a geography of wellness partner with the Institute, as is Red Sea Global, Lindsay, and it gives me a moment to just thank and welcome our geography of wellness partners to this call, our country partners. You're going to learn more about that in the follow-up email that you get. I also want to welcome, we have people from our Global Wellness Institute initiatives on this call. We have ambassadors, Global Wellness Institute ambassadors.
How about this for a small world?
Keep yourself muted, Julie. whoever, yes. Anyway, I just wanted to welcome all of those people and all of you again, but we have a lot of very special people connected to the organization available and on this call, which is wonderful. I don't know, we're running a little ahead, which if you know me, is like thrilling thing for me. I'm not sure if Paul Scialla is on the call yet. Paul, are you here?
I am. Hi, guys.
Oh, terrific. Okay, Paul Scialla, co-founder and CEO of Delos. Paul, over to you.
Hello, everybody. Paul Scialla, founder and CEO of Delos and founder of our International Well Building Institute. I think you'll hear from our institute in a bit, but I'm here to give you a very quick introduction to WellCube. Just launched. WellCube is going to, we think, change what it means to be a smart, healthy, connected facility or building. This is a desktop air filtration unit, giving great localized filtration. Looks like a Sonos speaker, small, elegant, quiet, right on the desk. And as you lay cubes on desks every, let's say, 15 feet apart across any space, each cube has embedded data and sensory collection on the following: motion, occupancy, people counting, temperature, humidity, air quality, lighting quality, and ambient sound. So this is a way to turn any building into a smart, healthy, connected building in one day, get air filtration up to a MERV 17 equivalency without touching the HVAC for fractions of the cost, fractions of the time, and we're really excited to launch. Wellcube.io if of interest, and it's great to see everyone today.
Paul, thank you so much for, I know you're like in between meetings, but I'm going to just ask you for a moment. You have really, I mean, Delos was really a pioneer in this field. I mean, wellness real estate was what you guys trumpeted when probably everyone thought you were crazy. Can you talk about that sort of back of the napkin moment just for a minute?
Happy to do it. Over 10 years ago, we took note of the sustainability movement in real estate, and the dialogue pretty much all focused on planetary health and environmental sustainability, and we felt half the story was missing. And so 5 years later, and $100 million of research capital with Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, and 300 doctors from around the world, together with real estate professionals of all types, owners, operators, developers, architects, engineers, facilities managers, we introduced the Well Building Standard through our International Well Building Institute in 2015. And Nancy, thank you for this. Pleased to say that is now the world's largest certification, rating, and accreditation body for healthy and safe buildings, healthy and safe indoor spaces, even healthy master plans. We are in 130 countries, covering over 5 billion square feet of assets around the world, 5,000 enterprise clients, 30% of the Fortune 500. It's really become a great thing to see the well building movement in now parallel to the green building movement. And want to thank you guys, Susie and Nancy, for all the work you do to spread the good word and the data on and around wellness real estate, because obviously the returns are quite compelling.
Paul, thank you so much. Paul is also the reason we have such a strong partnership with JP Morgan Chase in New York. And Paul, just tell us, give us a sneak preview of what your involvement is in their new headquarters.
Yeah, well, JP Morgan is thankfully have done over the last several years 60 million square feet of achieving the health safety rating. Every front door in the world on a bank branch or office, you'll see our well seal. But they are big believers in Cube, and we are working with them to start to deploy well cubes. So that's going to be a great thing as well.
Are we putting it on every table at the symposium in May?
Yes, we can get that. Absolutely.
Okay, this is now recorded, and there are 176 witnesses.
Done. You're done.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I know you have to run to meetings. Appreciate
Thank
you
you
being
guys.
here.
Enjoy the sessions, please.
Okay, now let's go to Utah. And Amayali, and here to tell us all about it, Chuck Heath. Chuck, are you here and unmuted yourself? Unmuting? Okay, we will come back to Chuck. Let's go instead to Miami and that gorgeous background of all those palm trees, to Patrick Fernandez, Executive Managing Director at Carillon Miami Wellness Resort. And I understand something you're doing in Switzerland, but anyway, over to you, Patrick. Make sure you are unmute. You're muted. Thanks.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Nancy. So my name is Patrick Fernandez. I serve as the Executive Managing Director here at Carillon Miami Wellness Resort. And if you're not familiar with Carillon, we are an independent resort with 3 towers. We are also one of the largest wellness facility in the United States with 70,000 square feet devoted to health and wellness within a resort setting. Also, as part of the resort, we have 3 towers, 580 residential units in total. And we sit right on the ocean in Miami Beach. And the second property that Nancy alluded to was a property in the Swiss Alps called the Waldhaus in Flims, Switzerland. But we take the same approach for both the properties. I'll talk particularly about the Carillon because what we've noticed since the pandemic is Miami Beach has seen a soar in real estate pricing, and sales have been skyrocketing. So when we compare residential unit sales in the North Beach market of Miami Beach and compare that with Carillon, we see that Carillon did considerably better. Not only did we outperform the market in terms of quantity, but also in value. And we have to ask ourselves the question, why? And one of the reasons why we firmly believe that we are performing better than the market in the Miami Beach area is because of wellness and the accolades that we've amassed over the years as it relates to wellness. So we've been fortunate enough to amass accolades with Travel and Leisure, Condé Nast, USA Today, just to name a few. We also have a very strategic wellness PR strategy, which ties into the value of the real estate here at Carillon. So over the years, what we have seen is not only have we outperformed the local market in terms of quantity, but value, and value pretty significantly, where price per square foot, we've gone up over $600, so $640 per square foot, resulting in value creation for our residents. Remember, we have 580 residential units here, so resulting in value creation of $470 million. That's almost $500 million through effective PR and marketing strategies. So Carillon as a brand has never been stronger, and we continue to develop the brand and grow stronger through this with the introduction of some wonderful services and technologies, bringing sustainability and some enhancement with sleep in the resort. So my conclusion here is don't underestimate the value of a brand. Carillon is an independent brand. We like to think we've done pretty well for ourselves. Combine that with the effective PR strategy, and you can take your asset to greater heights and outperform the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And I want to mention that Tammy Payhill is also on this call, someone very much responsible for some of those big numbers because she's responsible for the wellness that goes on. Tammy, you just want to add something to this? You may be muted if you're trying to speak and you're still on this call. I can't see everyone, so I don't know if you're still here. Tammy Payhill, if you're still on the call, unmute and say hello. Okay. Perhaps she has left, but Tammy, I also want to say that there are a tremendous amount of sponsors on this call who support everything we do. Tammy and Carillon being one of our, most devoted sponsors. Okay, if Tammy comes on later, we will find out. And has Chuck Heath joined the call? I'm going to keep checking on Chuck. Do we know? We're not taking questions yet, so we'll do that later if we can. Okay, let's go now to Rachel Hodgdon, President and CEO of the International Well Building Institute, which Paul Scialla mentioned, and talk about busy. Rachel, go ahead. Make sure you're unmuted.
One second. Hi, everybody. Let me just get my slides back up for you. Thank you so much, Nancy, for the invitation. If you know IWBI, you probably know us through the Well Building Standard. And Paul gave a lot of my initial talking points, so I'll zoom right on through those. But IWBI is the global authority on advancing healthier buildings, healthier organizations, and healthier communities. WELL itself is a roadmap of evidence-backed building and organizational strategies that can be used to protect health and improve well-being and performance of people who are using those spaces every day. And here you're seeing a handful of our certified spaces all across the world. Paul mentioned a few of these fast facts. There are more than 74,000 enrolled locations in WELL across more than 135 countries and amassing in total more than 5.5 billion square feet. But WELL doesn't just work at the building scale, it also works at the organizational scale. And so our fastest growing offering is our WELL at Scale program. That's where organizations enroll every building where their employees work, or their entire portfolio of assets. Within the WELL at Scale program, our customers can achieve unlimited WELL certifications and ratings for their spaces, and they also earn a WELL score across their entire company. Through WELL at Scale, organizations advance their ESG goals, especially toward the S in social sustainability. And one of the clients that's deploying WELL at Scale particularly successfully is Citi. They've achieved WELL certification on a number of their flagship offices all around the world, and all of their spaces are WELL Health Safety rated. So last month, we celebrated Citi's New York headquarters for achieving WELL Platinum, which is our highest level of certification. It's a whopping 2.6 million square feet worth of building in Manhattan's Tribeca neighborhood, and it is now the world's largest WELL certified office space. On the tour that we took with some of Citi's leadership, they told us that the certification has become, the building itself, by way of the certification, has become one giant recruiting tool for talent. Now, while WELL has historically been applied to commercial buildings, including multifamily residential, just last year, we launched our WELL for Residential pilot. And WELL for Residential is the only global third-party certification for healthy homes that can be applied to both single-family homes and multifamily. And interestingly, particularly for this group, we're seeing a huge amount of engagement from hospitality, particularly long-stay villas, student housing, and co-living. We thought we'd have about 3,000 enrolled locations in the pilot. We ended up having 30,000, and we're on the precipice of enrolling another 10,000 additional residences. And these are from all over the world, but by far the place where we've seen the most astronomical level of interest is in the Middle East. Last year, a Miami developer, Caplo Manzano, became the first home to be certified under WELL Residential with the single family home that you see here. But WELL Residential wasn't just designed to be applied to new homes, it was also designed to be applied to existing homes. And this year, Corvius enrolled 22,000 homes that they own and operate on military bases. They've just submitted for certification of their homes on 2 military installations, and that's their first stop on the road to certifying all 22,000. Corvius, of course, with existing homes, has focused on a series of low-cost practical strategies for including air quality, including installing blackout shades and lighting upgrades to improve sleep and readiness for the troops, as well as safety within the home. They've done a lot of work on air quality, including air quality testing to make sure they're getting the results that they need. And I think most exciting and most importantly, they've installed water filters at the source that are capable of removing those forever chemicals that we know contaminate the drinking water on numerous spaces worldwide. So results of that early pilot from Corvius, where they put a couple of their homes through these improvements, are nothing short of profound in terms of the impact that they've had on military members and their families. And we are really proud that WELL Residential is guiding their efforts. So lots more to come in 2025. Stay tuned. And thanks again for the invitation.
Can I just say, wow? Oh my God. And this is why we send everybody the recording. So many people have shared astounding numbers and stats, and you're going to want to hear those again. And I'm going to, maybe we'll ask everybody if they shared slides that will include those as well. I'm sure a lot of people would like to have those to take a look at. Okay, and what now becomes a kind of theme of this call is Chuck Heath here? Chuck, are you on the call? And if you are, will you unmute? Okay, then we are moving on to Timothy Enscombe Bell. Tim is a journalist, a consultant, and in my opinion, a guardian of sustainability. He also has written for two of my favorite publications, Monocle and Wallpaper. He works with some of the most prestigious architects and developers in the world. Tim, over to you.
Many thanks, Nancy. Yes, so just as a quick overview on my work as a consultant, it's split into two parts. I work with manufacturers to measure and reduce the environmental and health impacts of their products and processes, and then to communicate on their successes in a way that avoids greenwash and embraces transparency. The other side is I work with developers and specifiers in the US, helping them integrate healthy and sustainable products and materials into their interior schemes. So I mostly work on commercial fit-outs, offices and mixed-use typologies, but also do some institutional work for universities, as well as hospitality and multifamily residential. The most rewarding part my side is putting manufacturers doing fantastic work together with ambitious project teams to collaborate on green buildings and wellness real estate. In terms of projects that I'm working on, I'm currently working on a hotel in Palm Springs, a couple of private offices, a multifamily development on the East Coast, and a hotel and spa project in Northern California. They're all fairly early, or like, we don't have photos yet, so I haven't got anything to share in terms of slides. But I'm also quite excitingly helping an international architecture firm develop and roll out a furniture line for the hospitality industry with a focus on healthy materials and circular design principles.
Tim, thank you so much. You know, we haven't talked, and we don't often talk enough about the materials. We talk about massive projects all over the world, but not necessarily the materials. Can you just talk about, maybe give us an example? I know you're working with Bjarke Ingels and Foster and Partners and all the big firms. How do you get them to pay attention to that? What do you do about, just tell us a materials story quickly.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the most powerful messaging, I think, comes from, rather than, for years, people were really pushing back the environmental side, but when you start talking about actually the health and the health impacts of the materials that you're using, when you consider that indoor air quality can be, 8 to 10 times worse than outdoor air quality, and a lot of that comes down to the materials and the things that you're putting into the building, that can be quite profound. So really looking at base level, at using healthy materials that do not off-gas, that have low VOCs, that don't have any nasty chemicals in, and then basing design decisions around that is kind of a first step in most cases.
Tim, thank you so much. Tim is going to be in Scotland with us. He's going to lead a keynote conversation, which will be absolutely fascinating, and we really appreciate you being with us here today. Now, last chance, Chuck Heath, are you here? Okay. And Tammy, do you have audio available? I know you were having trouble with your audio. Can you unmute? Okay. Tammy, if she could speak, would say hello to everybody and tell you even more about what they do at Carillon Miami, which is fantastic. But Patrick did a great job. Okay, what we didn't tell you as part of this lightning round is that I'm going to call on people who didn't know that I was going to call on them for a 1-minute update on things they're doing in their world. So Sarah Olivia Brightwood and Alex Von Bitter over there in Tecate, Mexico, yes, you. Go ahead and unmute and tell us a little bit about the Rancho La Puerta residences. 1 minute. Go for it. Anything you want to say.
Hey, Nancy. So we were not expecting to do this today. We're
exactly. This is part of my just calling on people.
We're sort of camping out. Okay, so the residences at Rancho La Puerta, we went to market in 2020 during the pandemic, which actually was quite a remarkable time to bring the idea of living in nature in a wellness community surrounded by a vineyard and the beautiful mountains that Rancho La Puerta is known for. And we have we are halfway through our project. We had a wonderful response from our loyal ranch guests. And we pretty much have the sustainable agricultural, agri-hood, warm community already taking shape there. So part of the vineyard is planted. There's so much camaraderie amongst the people who have already purchased and the people that are already living there. I think that's been the astonishing part, is how the ranch community itself has jumped into a location next door and created an even stronger level of bonding than those people who have come to the spa and resort over 3 generations. So I think community has been our secret sauce in all of this, as well as the beauty of the environment.
And
Thank
Sarah,
you so much, and
we'll see you
you go
in
ahead, Alex, yes.
Scotland. We'll be with you.
Okay, fantastic. I apologize, but not really, for putting people on the spot. It's kind of fun. We're all friends and family here, and we're all interested in what everyone is doing. I wish there was time for everyone to have a minute. Thank you for doing that. I'm going to take a spin to Emmanuel Schlossberg. Are you still on the call, Emmanuel? I can't see everybody, so forgive me.
I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Hi, unmute and tell us about ULI and what you're doing regarding wellness in the built environment.
Okay, so ULI, Urban Land Institute, is a global real estate land use organization that supports anyone and everyone touching any part of development, communities, service industry, etc. I have in the past 4 years, and thank you, Nancy, for joining us, and just this year created a council, which is a special interest group for ULI Global as well as ULI New York, for professionals in marketing real estate, marketing and communications in real estate. And so I welcome any developer who has any marketing or communication professionals to have them get in touch with us. We are creating this home, and it is exploding as we speak, because as we all know, it is a necessary discipline to consider, everything from design to communications to etc. So that's the ULI. On the wellness side, I'm a LEED accredited AP. My background is an architect. And so, again, I have a fervent mission to ensure that design and wellness are very, very clearly communicated, as well as their value in all the projects. And I'm currently working on marketing the Mandarin Oriental residences on Fifth Avenue and in Beverly Hills, with the Mandarin brand, of course, collaborating with them on that wellness part as well as Rosewood in South Beach. So.
Thank you so much for
Anything
that.
else? Okay, thanks for having me.
That's incredible. I'm going to ask one more, and then I'm going to ask Susie to join me in this fun exercise of commenting and calling on people. But I first want to call on Wendy Basilovich, who deals with the amenities side of huge residential buildings all over Manhattan, maybe well beyond, for Live Unlimited, and amenities. So in buildings that are already been built, not development projects starting from the ground up, ones being built. How do those get transformed into wellness destinations? You have 1 minute.
I would have gotten dressed up. Thank you, Nancy. So Live Unlimited is a North American company now, because we have now merged with our sister. And Nancy, not to correct you, we are working with a lot of developers from ground up. We are doing the architectural programming. Emmanuel and I have worked together in the past. And so we sit at the table. We are doing the architectural programs. And we work with multifamily. We are working now with corporations, with JCCs, with water parks. So our portfolio has really expanded, and we bring wellness to every community. So we do a lot of events, and Sarah talked about building community. That is our single most goal, is to bring the communities together and educate them on wellness.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to ask Susie to unmute. Susie Ellis, for those of you who don't know, is the chair and CEO of both the Summit and the Institute, the driving force behind everything we do. And I'm sure she'd like to jump into this fray right now. Susie?
Well, thank you, Nancy. And it's so great to see so many of you. And I see a few people that I kind of know or know your projects. And so I'd love for you to perhaps jump in. And in particular, I see Val DeVee, and there's a whole group of you, and that's South Africa. And I remember you were very early to this. And so if there is anyone that could unmute and just give us a little bit of an update on what's happening in your arena. I was very impressed learning early on that you were really pioneers in this. So Val Devi, over to you.
We can't hear you. We know you're unmuted. Maybe somebody needs to get closer to something.
Well, that's what happens when we're spontaneous. Not everybody is ready to go. If you can figure out the audio, please jump in. And in the meantime, if you can put in the chat your URL, because I think it's really interesting what you're doing. It's in South Africa. You've been doing this for quite a few years. So, and then I'd like to just open up to anyone that has a project, maybe something new that we're not all aware of, or even if something is not new. Let's see, Serena, are you raising your hand there? You can unmute.
And I would just say, if you unmute to tell us about a project, take just 1 minute to do it, so we can get to people.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Are you referring to me in Toronto? Is that?
Yes. Well,
I
saw your hand up.
I actually, it wasn't up, but I appreciate everyone who has spoken today. I'm part of I'm a Global Wellness Institute ambassador, so thank you for that, Susie and Nancy. I've been in land development for 15 years, and we are working on an amazing site, 300 acres east of Toronto, that will amplify and glorify all 8 dimensions of wellness. And I can't wait to tell you more details in the future. So thank you for your time, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Vincent, you have your hand up. Please unmute and let's see you.
Yes, can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm the co-founder of Neos Life. Neos Life stands for New Earth Operating System for Life. We believe we completely need to reinvent how we live and thrive. And so this is a 1,000-acre project in Portugal, 75 minutes from Lisbon, where we building 200 homes in the southern plot and a whole well-being ecosystem around personal transformation, farm-to-table food, land regeneration. We are really trying to bring everything together to create kind of a new blueprint for a better civilization. And you can find us on neos.life, the website, or y.neos.life for our investment deck. Thank you.
Thank you. Put those websites in the chat so people will have them captured and can share them with everyone. Okay, Jeffrey, unmute and give us a minute.
Thank you, Nancy. So I'm Jeff Berger. I'm the CEO and founder of Abundance and Optimum Wellness. I'm a certified holistic coach taking a finance-first approach to achieving all-encompassing personal well-being by embracing new ways to true wealth in the modern world. I'm a global ambassador for an international real estate fractional ownership company. We have projects of high-end hotel and resorts going up in Zanzibar and in Mozambique, Africa. We've got other properties in Dubai. And the mission is really to go beyond a business aspect, from creating opportunities, providing access, and building a more inclusive and supportive digital world where everyone has a chance to thrive. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Or please unmute and share 1 minute.
Sure, thank you very much. So we're operating from Warsaw, from Poland, and we're taking the whole sector into a more personalized medicine longevity focus. We're combining those services with the residential units, so to create a close ecosystem where the residents can also live, but also get all the wellness and well-being services that they might need, both from a medical perspective, clinical, but also social and spiritual. It's right on the sea. It's really, really interesting. And what we see here, we see a huge increase in investment in personalized medicine and longevity research and longevity investment. So what we're trying to do is to combine those two trends into one very strong force of goodwill. And that's what I also see with my patients. I think a lot of people are now more interested in this industry, and we can see it's a global trend. So what we do, personalized medicine with wellness.
Minute. Thank you so much, and we're seeing a lot of that. The medical and specifically longevity focused diagnostics and all kinds of things being built into residential, high-end residential, hotels and everything else. Is anybody on the call that is currently involved in that, let's say from a hospitality or residential standpoint? Please do raise your hand. Anyone else? Susie, I'd just like to get your thoughts as someone who has seen this industry grow from the first report to now, and then we'll get to Desiree.
Well, thank you, Nancy. And yes, indeed, as researchers, Catherine spoke back in 2018 when we did Build Well to Live Well. This was very much a new concept, but what Catherine and Ophelia did was really, really valuable. They even, and by the way, no one has mentioned that these reports are available to everyone for free. You just go to the Global Wellness Institute website. And I still think that Build Well to Live Well report from 2018 is extremely valuable. If anyone is going into the sector, I would read that because it is like the foundation. It's the history of where this sort of came from and how it evolved. And what they did at that time is they did a whole appendix of all these projects that were going on in different parts of the world. And I still think that that is extremely valuable. And now we're going to have Build Well to Live Well 2.0, and that is available, so you can have that information at your hand. So I'm excited about what I'm seeing. I think it shows from the people that are on, on this call. And I would just say that I advocate a lot for really, really doing the wellness piece well. One thing I have noticed is that it seems like we have real estate people who recognize that wellness is attractive as a marketing piece, and that's what people want. So they use the term wellness, but I don't always see a really strong wellness component. So I'm hopeful that there'll be more of that. And then on the other hand, I see in the wellness space, they don't always have the expertise in real estate. So it really is a matter of us working together so that I want every project to be successful. Because if we have some that are not so successful, it really affects us all. And it is a global conversation here. So we really want to help each other. And I think, Nancy, that's part of what our DNA is. We would like you all to help each other. And let's share what we learned, mistakes, things that have gone well. And then we'll all do better. And we'll really have a very strong wellness real estate arena. And I would say, Nancy, that happily with the GWI and GWS, I feel like we've contributed that to the whole wellness sector, putting together the bubble chart and our researchers helping sort of forge a way to look at it. And I'm glad that we have this wellness community globally that in general is helping each other. And I hope that will be what's happening in real estate. But I kind of feel like it already is, and it's still really early times.
Susie, thank you so much. I think you're absolutely right. I think, what we do is we convene these kinds of events. We put people together, we encourage collaboration, and we are agnostic. We don't, we take everybody and we put them together, and we hope that you will do business together and work together and, really understand what each other is doing, all in service of authentic wellness being embedded in everything, in this case today, in the real estate world, which is something we continue to be very, very excited about. I'm going to get to you too, but we were sharing a screen. Jesse put up a screen before. Let me take you through that right now, and then we'll get to some last comments since it was up already, and I want to be sure everybody has seen it. This is, we have a bunch of things. Susie mentioned all the research on the GWI website is free. That is true. So go there and download anything and everything you like. And this is just sort of to name a few. We've made it easy for you. We've created a QR code that'll take you to a landing page where everything is. So we've got the real estate market growth report, the Build Well, the original report. We did an incredible symposium. You'll see Richard Gere there. He was at our symposium this past May. You can, for a cost, download the symposium on demand and get all those talks and all of that information. There's going to be a webinar, which I mentioned next month on this topic with the research team. We will have our symposium again, May 2025. We think mid-May, but we don't have the exact date, but we will announce as soon as we do. And some people mentioned they were ambassadors of the Institute on this call, and there is a way for you to do that. It's $1,000 minimum contribution. You get all kinds of sort of inner circle benefits for doing that. And of course, it supports the Institute, which is our nonprofit. And then the next slide, of course, you're all invited to Scotland, and that is our summit. It'll be our 18th annual summit, November 4th through 7th, at the Old Course Hotel in St. Andrews. And it's going to be a remarkable event, I promise you. And kilts not required. Thank you, Jesse, for sharing that, for sharing those. And okay, we have time for maybe two more 30-second comments. So Desiree, go for it.
All right, thank you. I just want to thank you, Nancy. Appreciate you pulling everyone together and let everybody know if anyone's developing anything in Mexico. I'm putting together a group in Mexico of regenerative wellness real estate developers, and my project, Illumina Tulum, we're beginning construction, and it's a super advanced wellness hotel that goes into the lighting, the flooring, the EMF shielding, everything is fully immersed. It's an immersive wellness experience. So if anyone's developing in Mexico, please reach out. I'm happy to help you.
Wonderful. Well, you should definitely talk to Sarah, Olivia, and Alex about what they are doing. Natasha, 30 seconds.
Hi, everyone. I am very new to this. I'm living in the Amalfi Coast in Italy. I'm of Indian descent, so I am actually working with a lot of high-end luxury hotel groups here to understand how to bring in the money from all those people that have the riches, but really, really help the local communities and the farm-to-table communities as well. And then also take a percentage of proceeds where we can actually take that and help form other communities in more impoverished areas like in India and so on. So that's my 30 seconds. I'd love to go into more, but that's what I'm doing here.
Thank you so much. And aren't you lucky on the Amalfi Coast of Italy? Okay, Jillian, 30 seconds.
Good morning. I'm Jillian Pritchard Cook, founder of Wellness Within Your Walls, and we do some self-reporting, making advancements in wellness real estate. I want to thank Nancy and Susie. We have really enjoyed the Build Well, Live Well reports. We share them with the National Kitchen and Bath Association, the National Association of Home Builders. They are all following Global Wellness Institute's lead, and I'm thankful to you, Nancy, for also the work you've given me the opportunity to do with the Global Wellness Communities and Real Estate Initiative. And I'm very much looking forward to Scotland and also to New York City's next symposium.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm afraid we are out of time. I would ask everybody to unmute now and just have a little global love for our fabulous participants, those I put on the spot who did not expect to be put on the spot, and everyone else. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
And thank you, Nancy. Great job.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was
everyone.
awesome.
Thank you all. Fabulous.
Bye, everybody.
Evolutionary agents all.
Sentient beings.